Explain something. Last year, we started off, we had crazy storms right from the get-go. October was big, November, December, and then it just kept rolling. And we had more than 700 inches of snow for almost all the Tahoe resorts.
Historic.
It was huge. Yeah, it was
People were
huge.
skiing and snowboarding on 4th of July.
Exactly.
From my understanding, that was the really big moment.
Oh yeah, even into August for places like Mammoth. So
wow.
it was monster. So how do you follow that?
Yeah.
And then we get to this year, and we all know October, nothing. November, one storm. December, basically nothing. And then here we are in January, and we've got a couple storms. But I just wanted to bring this out because you brought it to my attention. The national media now is catching on.
ABC News posted something, and while I've heard you guys had conversations, he's refrained from using the D word, from using drought, because you didn't want to instill that fear in anyone because we don't know yet. But today, we know that there's going to be a snow survey. What are your predictions?
My prediction is that they're going to find really lackluster snow. We all know that.
Yeah.
I think that it's important for you have to be there. It's important for the visuals to see where it is and to see them walk out. Frank Gerke is the guy that's been doing it forever.
He retired like a long time ago, but they roll him out every year for the snow survey with a big pole.
Exactly.
It's awesome.
It's all visual. I like it.
Yeah. And the historic moment was, I remember when we were in the worst it could be snow year and rain year in the middle of the drought. They said, "Oh yeah, we're going to have the snow survey on April 1st, and the governor's going to be there." And I said, "Why are they going to do? Why are they even going to do a snow survey? Because there's no snow where they take a measurement.
It's ground. It was grass.
Yeah.
But they did that just to show how bad it was.
Exactly. It was historic, and the governor was there to basically. The next point was to sell California on the look. This isn't a water management issue where the cities are taking too much or farmers are taking too much. There's no water to go around at all. See for yourself. And they put the snow survey stake right in the ground.
Whoa, 0%.
Yeah, 0%. So I just want to point out a couple things here.
I was just going to.
Yes.
That's why we have the whiteboard.
I felt like I would. No, proceed. I felt like I was lured here this morning because there was going to be red wine and Pictionary. Now, is this what's going to happen?
Oh, you thought it was game day.
What is going on here?
Well, Rob's gotten up twice now, and you haven't put anything on the board. So go.
This is what a drought looks like.
Do the one line like the sloth does in the commercial.
It's
it's a sloth riding a tandem bike or something, whatever.
I think, like, when I talk about some of these issues, I can go on and on verbally. But sometimes
you can.
I think there's an easy visual
show
can
us.
help. So California is basically like this. We have a cycle here in California. We have really wet years and we have really dry years, right? So it's important to remember when it's dry right now, you're sort of only really you might be looking at this moment, you might be looking at this moment, you might be looking at this moment. It's just a moment in time, and it's cyclical. So if you believe that basically we're going to get skunked for the rest of the season, no rain, no snow, then you could imagine that this is where we were, and now we're starting this long slide that takes years to get to a drought. Now, here's the problem with that. We've got our rain season, which it's 12 months, but basically we know it's 6 months. So you have October, November, December, January, February, March, and then April's iffy. This is usually how it goes. You get a little bit of rain in October. You start to get more in November. Then you get a ton in December. You basically get the same in January. February is pretty good. March can either be this or it can be this.
So Marches can be bigger than February.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Wow, that's odd.
A lot of locals in Tahoe and Mammoth, they refer to March as the secret season because it can be totally dry or it can be 120, 150 inches of snow in a month. So here's the problem with this year. Forget about October, forget about November, forget about December. So now we're relying on these next 3 months, essentially to make up all of this ground and then maybe even get us ahead. And you can do this. You can have huge numbers of rain and snow.
We have a storm coming in right now,
Yeah, exactly,
right?
and we've got it. But everything coming in is really warm, and it's just not that impressive. So the bottom line is, now we're past halftime. It's not looking good.
Yeah.
And even if we have a monster January, February, and March, I still think we're only getting to average at this point. I mean, you just can't lose that much time and expect the next 3 months to turn on and be
Right.
completely different.
But you're very well done graphic here, by the way. I would say that for me, having covered this ad nauseum forever,
Right.
I'm not necessarily looking at the next 3 months to bring us up to where we need to be or
Right.
should be. I just want these next 3 months to give us something so
Right.
we're not in worse shape than we would be if we get virtually nothing.
Right.
So
Right.
anything now is just going to help retard a possible D word
Right.
as we go down the road.
Exactly.
So just give us half, give us a third.
But at what
I'm not
point-
going to be greedy here based on
Right.
what's already happened.
But at
Right.
what point do you say, okay, we are back in a drought?
Right. Well, definitely. That's another thing. There's weather and climate. Weather is a moment in time. Climate is what happens over months, weeks, years. I mean, it's a longer time scale. And
Okay.
drought has to do with a long period of time.
Yeah.
You would need a couple years at least to be really lackluster to even bring up the word drought. For example, in the reservoirs right now, they're almost all way above average. So
Yeah.
we have more water in the tank, so to speak, than we usually do for this time of year. So
Because we overproduced last season.
yeah, exactly. And these water resources people, they're very smart. They know what's going on. They look at the same long-term stuff that I do, and even more experimental. Well, why not? Let's just run it out another couple
Yeah.
more weeks and just to see what happens. And so they've been able to retain a lot of the water in the reservoirs. It was a really long melt season, so that certainly helped. So we're in a moment where people will want to say the word drought. They'll want to go there immediately, but
National
these
news
things
picking it
take
up,
years
right.
to develop. This is how you get into a drought.
Sure.
When you lose 3 months of your rainy season. But you just can't use the word drought yet because as far as water resources, you're in a serious drought when there's just not enough water to get things done around here. Not enough water for agriculture. There's not going to be water restrictions early on. It's definitely not during the winter. But we start to move into those discussions once we hit February and March and still kind of looking the same. We do that snow survey and they keep going out there with the pole and
Yeah.
they still have that grim look on their face. That's when I think collectively as Californians we start to say, okay, here we go again. The good news about the recent drought that we went through, which was historic in so many ways, is that we've been down this road recently. So we know what it takes. We know the sacrifices that you have to make to save water are not
Right.
that difficult. And if
Right.
you could do a lot of really dumb ones, where you don't have to think about it, like watering less on your
Right.
lawn,
Right.
figure out your sprinkler. I mean, a lot of people have landscapers, and that's what they do. Seriously, take 5 minutes, watch a YouTube video. You can figure it out. These things are easy. Just right now, you shouldn't be watering. Walt, you've done so many stories on that. Whether we're going into a drought or not, or this is nothing. What do you do with your lawn this winter?
Well, you're lawn watering. You need
Yeah.
to turn off your lawn sprinklers. You still need to water your shrubs and
Right.
plants, but you can do that with the bucket that you have in the shower
Right.
that you have in, so that you take that out after you take your showers, and then you can hand water your plants and exterior bushes and certainly your indoor plants too.
Right.
I'm most concerned, I think, when we get to the April snow survey. That to me would be a barometer to use that, start to have that discussion again about drought. Because really we still have a few months and it looks like we're going to get some rain. So, but you're right, but if we were not going to have anything at all this year, we would probably be getting into that discussion probably at the end of February, early March about, okay, we had virtually no rain at
Right.
all. And we're not going to get any rain
But-
until the next rainy season at all.
But what happens if next year we have a year like last year and overproduce? Then the discussion turns again, right?
Right.
So as Californians, don't we know that we're always susceptible to drought
Yeah.
conditions because of our climate?
Yes,
Yeah,
we're going
exactly.
to we're going to
We're
have
always gonna be in and
listen.
out.
We're going to have another drought within the next
Sure.
7 years.
Right.
Because that's the cycle. So to me, it's like save. And Rob mentioned another point: people brushing their teeth leave the water running through the whole cycle of brushing your teeth.
Easy
Wet
things.
Yeah.
Oh,
your toothbrush, turn off the water, brush, and then you could save like a gallon right there just on brushing your teeth.
Exactly.
Little things that if not everybody's going to do it, but if
Right.
a lot of people do it, then we can, I want to take a shower in 2020. I would like to be able to take a shower in 2020, and sometimes I don't think that that's possible.
Megan, what are people saying?
People
and
are
I'm gonna set up
chiming
the next
in.
thing?
Well, you set that up. So Kimberly Morgan, as we know, a loyal viewer here on Extra Shot. Hey, Kimberly, she says, feels like we're always in a drought in California.
Yeah.
I'm always water conserving no matter what. She has a smiley face. So I think As Californians, we know that, and we live here. We choose to live here, right? And it's part of it. At least it should be.
It's the premium you pay for living in California, along with getting gouged in taxes.
Okay,
oh, did I just say that?
You said it aloud, yeah. Reggie Cepeda says, what is the closest place to go to the snow? He wants to go this weekend if possible.
There are a few snow parks. I saw that the one near Kingvale is open.
Okay.
Some of these snow parks, they're actually making snow these days. So if they are
Smart.
able to do it, I mean, you don't need a ton of snow to have enough to play around.
For a snow park, yeah.
Exactly. So Kingvale was the first one that I saw that looked open and looked like people were there having fun off 80.
Right. Well, really quick, Irma Marquez just wanted to give you some love. I love his reports.
Oh.
So, Rob, thank you for being here today with the
you.
whiteboard.
Okay, so
I don't think he's done. He's still going.
this is the last thing, because I know we
That's
have
why
other
I stopped
topics,
talking,
but
yeah.
I've been thinking about this a lot lately
Okay.
to try and explain California climate, because you said, aren't we always either in a drought or out of a drought
Right.
or back and forth? I think we have a false sense of security in California regarding rain, because when you, let's just say, your average here in Sacramento, just for example, it's about 18 inches of rain, okay?
Okay.
So you think, okay, on any given year, we're always sort of chasing that number, about 18. But remember, you only get this over decades and decades of rain, writing it down, measuring it, writing it down. The way that we really get to the average is by a whole bunch of years like this and a few years like this.
Oh, okay.
And that's really the reality, is that more or less you're going to be in one of these. Yes, there's an average. It seems like we're in a fairly wet climate. 18 inches of rain in a given year it's okay. I mean, a lot of places will get more than that in the Pacific Northwest, even the East Coast. But for California, Northern California, that's not too bad. But remember, it's usually dry years, a few wet years, and then it seems like it almost always gets to 18 inches. But that's really,
What did we have
either
last
way
year?
down or way up.
What was it last year?
Last year, I believe we
Was-
had about 32 inches or
So
so.
that
in
brought the
Sacramento.
average up to 18, brings that up.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
These monster wet years will bring up the average with a false sense of security. It's
Yeah.
really what you get is maybe 4 years where you get about 10 inches of rain, or maybe a little bit more, and then maybe 2 years where you're getting like 25, 28.
So that average, we don't generally get 18 inches of rain in winters. That's just the average.
That's just
because
the
there really
average,
is
okay.
no set 5 years in a row,
Exactly.
18, 16, 20. It's
Exactly.
never that way.
Exactly. And the other false sense of security is that in these wet years, you might have 2 or 3 patterns in the whole wet season in 6 months that get you about this. They get you about 70% of your total for your really wet years are out of 2 or 3 big atmospheric rivers. The Pineapple Express, where it basically pumps rain into the area for like a week or so. You get 5 to 8 inches of rain, and then it happens again. And then the rest of it is the kind of stuff that we're going to get in the coming days. Just your scattered showers overnight, maybe a half an inch here or there. So it really comes down to big wet patterns that save California. It's almost all about the atmospheric rivers, your Pineapple Express, when that low sets up and all that moisture comes from Hawaii, and then some cold air on top of it. That's really what California weather and climate is all about. Most everything else is dry.
Roberta Lovett says, save the bathwater, talking about conservation here. Save the bathwater, use a pitcher to water my plants. But then Lisa Wilson Clark wants to know, does the soapy water from the bath kill the plants when you use your shower water?
It's not soapy water. It's when let's just say you're in the shower and you're soaping up, the majority of that is it's the wasted fresh water. The soapy stuff doesn't get in there.
Okay, so you should be good doing that. Okay. I'm seeing Irma Marquez. Yes, we still not wash our cars in front yard. Okay, so she still doesn't do that. Carefully washing dishes during laundry, when brushing teeth as well.
And one of the things when the water restrictions came down, I noticed that the governor had a bunch of things in there that were permanent. On your hose, you need to have a nozzle on your hose. You can't just run it freely down your driveway. That will always, from that moment in the middle of the drought on, that is a new rule that went into place. Even in wet years, you're still not allowed to do that. You can, of course, you probably won't get cited, but you could if you're wasting water in an obvious way.
Okay.
We are either, most of the time, you could say this, we are either in a drought or we will be in a drought sooner than you think. So,
and when you see those headlines,
again, keep even
headlines.
like last year, it was pouring last year, flooding everywhere. we stopped doing the bucket in the shower thing.
Yeah.
Just because we didn't need to do it then. It would have been ridiculous to do it then. But for the most part, you have to be thinking this is a drought area every day of your life. And that way, anything we conserve now will allow us to take a shower in 2020.
Right.
You got to be thinking big on this because it's a drought area.
And I'm sure living with a weather person, being a weather person, and I'm sure you guys adopt these more easily than the average family, right?
Yes,
or
I would
does your
say
family?
No, it's true.
Do the kids know?
You got to walk the walk. It's one of these things where if the weather guy is washing his car with the hose running down the sidewalk, or I got my sprinklers going on at 2:00 in the afternoon on my off day, then I'm part of the problem, not part of the solution. So we probably do more than most, but it's really not that hard. Again, I like the dumb solutions to save water. Just tweaking the sprinklers. Half of your water use in your house typically goes to landscaping. So doing that one thing, just taking a day off or watering less, or as Walt pointed out with these great landscaping stories that he does all the time, one day of deep watering is way better than multiple days of just a little bit of water, right?
And that's even during the good times or in the summer when you need to be watering. A lot of people water with their sprinklers 15, 20 minutes, and the water never really soaks into where it needs to go. So if you do deep watering for 30 minutes once and allow it to get in, generally is enough for your lawn.
Megan loves this topic. Okay, we can move on to
No,
something.
I'm fully interested. I just don't have a yard.
Right.
So
We'll get you one. You can come over to mine and take care of that.
I'll water all day long. I do love the tip that you gave earlier now we can say last year in 2017 about watering the roots.
Oh yeah,
So the tree, can we draw a tree really quick,
The
Rob?
drip
Since we
line.
have-
I call that the drip
Actually,
line.
can you step up to the whiteboard?
Rob, can you draw me the tree? And then
We'll get on to the next topic, I promise. But
I'll
you
be
guys
right
are
there.
eating this up. I like this.
okay, so
Kim, while you guys are doing that, Kimberly Morgan says, I know tons of people who fill up those 20-foot pools every summer and then drain it. I'm like, ugh, makes me so mad. It's not a small pool. Got to learn to treat it. And Roberta Levitt says, Walt is right.
maybe hold on. Wait, maybe you want to
Is
give me
this
that
a
more.
tree?
I don't even know what this is here. So here
It's a tree on fire.
we need the branches out a little bit to illustrate what I'm talking
I think
about.
I drew an anemone.
So
when
when you're deep watering,
Finding
right?
Nemo, what?
When
Okay,
you're
yes,
deep
yes,
watering, you need to water
Where are the
heavily.
roots? Where are the roots, sir?
You do not water. You do not water the base of the tree, which is most people would water. Their plants
Growing
at the
up, we
base.
put the
You
hose
don't-
at the base,
You
right.
don't water the base of the tree. It actually promotes fungus, or can I even say on TV, fungi. So what you want to water is you want to water out from the tree as far as the branches go. So these are where all the roots are that actually need to be watered. So when you water out, and they call it the tree line or the drip line. So as far as the branch goes is as far as the root goes. So you want to water here,
Isn't that
and you
interesting?
want to water all here, but you do not want to water on the base.
Oh,
I
we
love it.
dropped the marker.
I mean, I'm telling you, Well, some of these stories and some of
That's
this
so
knowledge
good.
is revolutionary.
I don't know
really had never thought about it or knew about it, but now, and once you know this, everyone, thank you for watching.
I
because
will
now we
never
know this.
water a tree the wrong way again in my life, thanks to Walt.
I
Gray.
don't
you know
really,
better now.
to be honest, I really don't know anything. I just know who to ask questions to.
And then you relay
And
the
then I
information.
remember what they said.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I mean, I really know very little about anything. I just
Okay. Do you